This is going to be a lot more personal than my previous videos because I want to share with you my process in weight control, in the weight control biopolarity protocols that I'm experimenting with so I can share them with you. Boy, is it more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Changing the paradigm to gain mastery over weight control. Why? Well, it's not just all of a sudden putting magnets on you. It's not just the choice of food we make or how much food. It's not about being physically active, even on those days we would love to just sit on the sofa and eat one bowl after another of gloriously flavored popcorn. In my case, what are your go-to eating frenzies? It's all about forgiveness. Forgiveness! Forgiving myself, forgiving society for the message it sends us daily, and in some of your cases by the minute because of the blatant or subliminal diatribes you get about what an awful person you are, even if you have 1 extra pound or kilo on your body. It's about forgiving social media when we scroll down posts and ads and comments by intentionally cruel or even unknowingly insensitive people who respond to posts and photos. I thought this journey into biomagnetic weight control was going to be placing a series of protocols on myself for a certain amount of time, feeling the magical elixir of regenerated cells in my body taking over and leaving me with a newly activated digestive system. Simple, right? Well, I have to tell you that all that is actually happening. And because I'm doing these protocols twice a day, and sometimes 3 times a day, I am exhausted most of the day. My professor warned me about this, and he warns us about it all the time. Doing more protocols is definitely more effective, and it's also more taxing on the body. You can put more protocols on more often, but just be warned, you're going to feel fatigue and sometimes even anxiety for all the changes going on in the body because of so many reactivated cells. All right, I accept that. And yesterday, 4 weeks into this blissful paradigm change, I could not put another magnet on my body. I was exhausted just reaching for them. And I listened to my body saying no, which doesn't mean in any way that I'm rejecting this whole process. No way. I'm tired, and I realize that some of my moods are probably triggered by a proliferation of magnets on my body. Regenerating, reactivated, and in many cases, activating for the first time cells that have been dormant most of my life. I have been on this supercharged biomagnetic protocol because that's how I am. I'm always a bit extreme in these things, all or nothing. And also, but it's because I'm so eager to share this with all of you. People searching for empowerment over food and weight. But I need to calm down a little bit. And even saying that, I have to say that there are so many epiphanies and so many positives that have come up. And that's what I want to share with you today. Yes, I'm a lot more tired, but I am recovering from all that. And I'm going to recommend moderation to you now through personal experiences. But right now, what I really want to do is share these epiphanies because I'd love to know if it resonates with you, and hopefully it's going to help you feel a lot more non-judgmental about yourself. All right, so here we go. Incredible positives. I have lost 8 centimeters around the abdomen. I began, full transparency, at 110 centimeters, and yesterday I measured 102. Now that's really important because according to my professor's research, and he's an incredible researcher, if a woman has more than 80 centimeters, a man 90 centimeters around our abdomen, it is the first marker for metabolic disorder. And metabolic disorder is one of the markers for pre-diabetes. Now, I'm really active and I take care about what I eat. I'm vegan and eat mostly superfoods. But there's no denying that 110 centimeters around my abdomen is pre-diabetes. So 8 centimeters less is a really important change. In the first few days, my bloating went down. Was this only because of the magnets? Well, the magnets have been having a really subtle influence on my decisions because I feel more supported in my journey by the protocols. I've been stepping out of my eating comfort zone more and more every day, and that's huge for me because I'm an emotional eater, or when I'm bored, I eat. So even these little changes are huge for me. I realized also that I was eating a lot just before going to bed, and then I felt awful. I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep well, and I was still full in the morning. That's not healthy either for the body or for our emotions. The body needs to take a break. It needs a few hours not to be digesting anything. So I started doing almost unconsciously a 12-hour fast. I stopped eating a few hours before I was going to sleep. I didn't get up and run to the kitchen immediately. So I was eating for 12 hours and not eating for 12 hours. And all of a sudden, I just felt better immediately. I wasn't losing weight right away, but I was feeling better. I even put on a bit of weight because I was panicked all of a sudden, feeling that I only had 12 hours to eat and then I wasn't going to eat for 12 hours. And oh my goodness, what was going to happen if I was hungry? So I ate a lot the first couple of weeks and actually put on weight. But I was doing this as a sort of observer of myself so I could share this with you, and so I didn't get very panicked about it. And sure enough, 2 weeks into it, I started to realize that 12-hour range in the day of being able to eat and 12 hours not eating, a lot of that was sleep. So I didn't have the panic I first had. I learned to start eating the last meal of the day, a very healthy and satisfying meal. And it lasted me very easily in 12 hours later, and even a little bit more. What really unexpectedly and deeply changed my whole relationship to food, and more importantly to myself, was studying the causes of diabetes. And if you look at week 6, I explain really clearly what prediabetes and metabolic disorders are. But I finally really got that stepping on the scale, or more importantly, looking into the mirror and seeing the fat on my abdomen and the fat on my hips and the fat on my thighs isn't pretty and isn't what I prefer, but it does not mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean that I'm a worthless human on the planet. Thanks, Mother and most of society. It simply means, and please take this in as much as you can, all that fat I'm looking at is just fat. It's pulling on my clothes, it's rolling out of the seams and threatening to break all those seams from ankles to neck. But all it is an intake that doesn't get burned. That is it. It's glucose. It's food that's getting turned into glucose in my body that I am choosing not to burn by doing as much physical activity as it takes, or eating less so that I don't have to worry about it so much. The fat is not a judgment on my character, it's science. Can you understand that? Can you really take that in? The biopolarity and the magnets is going to help a lot with the digestive system. But in the end, the scale is not outlining the type of person you are. It's not judging your worthiness in this society. It's not telling you that you're a failure, that you're a fat woman, that you're ugly, that often people tell you or indicate you're a second-class citizen. It simply means that you're not burning as much weight as you're putting into your body. That's it. It's out of balance. And that realization was revolutionary for me. I mean, holy cow, non-judgment. What a relief. So things have been changing. I place magnets twice a day. I'm now very comfortable with the 12-hour eating and 12-hour not eating. I'm learning to eat what I need without overeating because of the fear of hunger. I'm choosing, for instance, less oil, less glucose-producing combinations, especially at the end of the day, and making my meals both satisfying physically and emotionally. And of course, there have been some days with steps backwards. I've picked at least one non-negotiable, and that's the 12-hour eating and not eating. There can be other non-negotiables, and as long as I respect those, I feel like I'm making long-term changes, and everything else will just fall into place. And the magnets are definitely helping with all of this. So those are some of my epiphanies that I've experienced over these 4 weeks and that I'm continuing to dive into. I'm so eager for you to share similar stories and tell me about your personal experiences. Now, the tape measure is definitely showing, for me, a difference, the scale less, but it's the empowerment over the long term that I'm interested for myself and for you. And that number on the scale, we all know, changes every day because of water retention or food retention or the weather or a good night's sleep or not a good night's sleep. But in the end, it's forgiving myself for all the self-judgment I have ingested since I was very young because of the people around me and because of society. Now I'm an adult and it's time for me to take control. This is all about empowerment, of weight control, and of inner messages. It's so satisfying in the end. I think you're going to get better about distinguishing between what you see in the mirror and what you consider it says about your character and your personality and the skills that you've honed over the years and your contribution to what you're doing here on the planet. So I believe in you. I can't wait to hear from you about the positive changes and the pivots you're making today, this month, this year. Week 7, moving into weight control by breaking down being overweight into facts and science and letting go of judgment. A big hug to all of you, and see you next week for more.